Good morning, folks. Welcome to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer, your host, and we're in luck because it's that time of the year that we honor the KSU Master Farmer and Master Farm Homemakers. Today we recognize Craig and Tamara Gigstad and Kevin and Barb Alpers, inductees into the 2016 class. So make sure to stay tuned after this break from our sponsors.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. Now let's meet the Gigstads.
Well, I was fortunate to be raised on a farm. My dad was multi-generation and saw the importance of involving his sons, and so their brother and I were involved like most farm families from early on. And so then he was very supportive in our early endeavors, and we were both raised in Atchison County, and she on a farm family, and we both saw the importance of work and family involvement and working together and the success that brings.
Let's talk about how you built up the operation over the years and concentrated on, well, both crops and livestock. Mostly crops at this point, though?
Yeah, we had hogs until 8 years ago. We were fairly finished, and we sold our hogs great yield through a marketing group, a producer group, and so that allowed us to stay in the business longer than most, small mom and pop operations. We were the last fairly finished operation in Jefferson County. So I guess I don't know if that's hard-headedness or exactly what that amounts to, but we were fortunate to sell direct, and always tried to raise the quality, and then you received a premium for it. But
and are you exclusive cash grain now?
we're exclusive cash grain, soybeans and corn.
Have you expanded acreage over the years steadily, or what was your philosophy there?
Well, we did expand acres all along, trying to focus on the better soils in the area and improve on conditions that they were in when we bought them. The big buzzword these days is sustainability, and so maybe we didn't know what that word meant back in 2002, but we were grid sampling back then and variable rating our inputs for phosphate and potashes and lime and balancing the pHs on our soils, and saw the benefits.
Really, that fits into the motto that more or less goes with your operation. You've been forward thinking in many respects, really throughout all phases of your operation, it sounds.
Well, we like to think so, and are definitely, we've seen the benefits from being forward thinking and with the yields that we're seeing and marketing techniques that we're using, and so it's created a expanding operation that we're proud of.
Now, Tammy, you've been involved in the farm for sure, but on top of a full-time career as a teacher, correct?
Yes, I taught off and on for 34 years. The last 16 years I've just taught a half a day, which works out great for the agricultural scene. I get home in time to get on the two-way radio or the phone and see what fields they're at, and I kind of meals on wheels. So I start delivering meals, and I get home and go for parts, and I've driven semis before and helped move machinery around and grain cart operation and such as.
So as you grew up and you were conducting all those activities, so too were you as a farm wife, it sounds.
Yes,
And it all meshed together nicely.
It did. It's been a great occupation. I tell people I've got to do the two things I love the most, and I love to teach music, and I love to work on the farm. And Craig and I both can't, expand enough on what it's been for our kids and the opportunity they have had, and just the good work ethic that they've had here. And they all love the outdoors, and they respect the animal industry, and they respect agriculture, and have been good stewards also of the land.
After the break, we'll finish up with Craig and Tamara Gigstad.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome. It's rodeo time in Sabetha. Come to the 61st Annual Northeast Kansas Rodeo on July 16th and 17th. Steer wrestling, calf roping, bull riding, and more. It's an exciting event for your whole family. The Sabetha Rodeo. Don't you dare miss it. That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. Now let's finish up with Craig and Tamara Gigstad.
Well, your agricultural activities off the farm have been very supportive, in particular, of the soybean industry. Now, Craig, you very much a leader in the Kansas Soybean Association and most recently in the United Soybean Board, correct?
That's correct, Eric. Started out on the association side, kind of worked my way up through the ranks, got comfortable with a little bit of a leadership role, opportunities to become an officer, and it seemed like the more I got involved, the more rewarding it was.
Let's talk about something more local and your local leadership. A great deal of involvement with extension activities and 4-H activities. Tammy, would you speak to that?
Yes, I will. Our children were involved for 4-H over the years, about 16 years between the three of them. And Craig and I were county swine leaders and then our local swine leaders of our club. I've been a community leader. I was a community leader for 8 years at the end, and gardening leader. And we had a really viable, active club, and we still do. We put a lot of emphasis on community service, which is very important to me. And 4-H has given our children a lot of opportunity.
But the two of you have gone beyond 4-H and extension in your community commitments. A number of local fundraisers, you might visit about those as you've involved yourselves.
Well, we have a great small community, and I've been on the hospital foundation board for over 25 years and the hospital board of directors for the last 5 years. And I am the chairperson of the fundraiser, have been for the last 11 years for the hospital. Craig and I both been involved in a couple other local fundraisers for a family who was in a severe car accident. We believe just to give back as much as we have received and teach our kids that also.
You have, again, said that you tend to be forward-thinking, progressive in how you approach your farming and your activities. You have had ownership in a corn processing venture here over the last 15 years or so, right, Craig?
That's correct. There was a number of producers that bought stock into Quaker Oats plant in St. Joe, Missouri, and so saw the opportunity there to try to add value to our corn. If you don't invest in your operation there at some facet, you're not going to be profitable in my mind.
Well, let's talk about the children, 3, and we'll talk about the son last because he is engaged in farming with the two of you. But your daughters, Danae, is actually involved in an ethanol plant now in Iowa.
That's correct. Fort Dodge, Iowa. It's, in my mind, a very large plant. They processed about 260,000 bushels a day, and she's kind of the co-manager for the ethanol side of the plant.
Your other daughter, Devin, she's in the medical field in nursing at the University of Kansas Hospital, correct?
She's a RN. She was a cardiac nurse for 2 years, and just recently she took a new position with the blood and marrow transplant clinic at KU Med.
And then there's your son, Derek, and we didn't note earlier that you're also farming with your brother, Kevin, our partner together in this venture. Was Derek intending to come back here from the get-go?
No,
I'm about age 4.
Okay.
So.
You could see early on he had a passion for it, and of course, as we all know, if you don't have the passion, you won't be successful. So it was very rewarding to us to watch him develop and take responsibility and have the drive. And so that definitely, spurred us on to do what we thought necessary to involve him in the operation. And
Lastly, to ask the both of you what this recognition means as Master Farmer, Master Farm Homemaker.
Eric, this was, in my mind, the highest reward possible for, you know, a lifetime of farming, and what an honor it is to be chosen.
Tammy?
Very appreciative, very honored and humbled, and proud that that our accomplishments, you know, are noticed, and proud of what we do and what we will continue to do.
After the break, let's meet Kevin and Barb Alpers. See you in a minute.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Here's another gardening tip with Annette Jackson from Jackson's Greenhouse.
If you don't have a garden, you can still enjoy fresh vegetables by growing them in containers. Let Jackson's help you select the correct plants for your pots. Use Fertilome's Ultimate Potting Mix. Place pots in the sun and feed them weekly with Fertilome's water-soluble fertilizer. Water thoroughly when dry and watch your garden grow.
There's still plenty of time to plant container vegetables. A complete selection of veggie plants is now on clearance sale. Let Jackson's show you how.
Support Kansas agriculture education with an AgriTag. AgriTags are available anytime at your county treasurer. They look great on cars and trucks. For more information, go online to ksagclassroom.org.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. Now let's meet the Alpers.
Soil. My great-great-grandfather, Brenzing, on my grandmother's side, came out here from Alhambra, Illinois in a boxcar to Hudson with his mules and some equipment. And this is where he chose to unload and owned some different property in the area, and eventually ended up trading for this place. And so that's how our family started on this place here. And the original part of the house was probably pre-1900, and then they got here in the early 1905, 6, somewhere in that area. And
So present day, the two of you and with Tyler are running roughly 11,000 acres owned and rented, and it's pretty much half and half, isn't it? Pasture and crop ground?
Yes. We had the opportunity a year ago to rent a ranch out by south of Kinsley. It's close to 3,000 acres of grass, and that allowed us to make our last expansion in the beef herd. And so we're running around 550 mother cows now, and then plus the heifers that we retain for replacements, and then quite a bit of dry land, cropland, and then we have 4 center pivots that we irrigate.
I want to talk more about the operation in a moment, but Barb, in addition to being a farm partner all this time, were you involved in special education? Is that correct?
Special education co-op as a para for speech and language. So it's about the years, I think it was about 17 years total.
Barb wears a lot of hats in this family, and kind of is the glue that holds everything together. She's driven a hay rake, a grain cart, trucks, and brings a lot of meals to the field, and has helped get a mother cow in at night with me when no one else was around. And
in terms of the nuts and bolts of farming and ranching, you stay progressive with technology, with things that come along, or are you an early adopter, or how do you go about it?
Yeah, we try to keep up, especially since Tyler has come back from Kansas State. He's brought a lot of new ideas. Of course, GPS, we've been doing that for quite a while with the auto track and we're now variable rating some fertilizer and have a planter that will variable seed rate and map. Our combine will map, harvest map, yield map. You know, it's an ongoing process, acquiring the data and applying it to where we need it.
You have a unique marketing outlet for at least part of your grain, very much here locally, just down the road. Visit about that a bit.
Our wheat, we grow both hard red winter wheat and also white wheat for the Stafford County flour mills, which is only a mile and a half from us. And our family has a lot of ties to it. My brother-in-law is president and general manager, and my nephew is assistant manager, and my son-in-law is very actively involved in the flour processing and packaging. And so we've been growing white wheat for them in addition to the red for probably about 10 years now. And that's wheat they don't have to ship in from somewhere else, and they like, because they know where it came from and what kind of quality they're getting. And we also haul our corn and milo and soybeans there also.
And from the producer's side, that's a paying proposition for you?
Yes, we get a premium for growing that white wheat for them, and also if our red wheat has you know, some extra protein or what, we get paid a premium on that, because as you know, the Hudson cream flour, they demand the best because it is one of the best flours out there. The Jersey cow and the cream rising to the top, there's a reason.
After the break, we'll finish up with Kevin and Barb Alpers.
There's a lot of different ways of doing this woodwork, but all of it still takes both hands.
He had been told that by the orthopedic specialist in Enid, Oklahoma, that they would have to fuse his thumb.
And I said, no, cut it off, because I didn't want it sticking up. And I found out about the Kansas regenerative stem cell and went to Manhattan.
We were so impressed with how royally we were treated the first time we came to Kansas Regenerative.
We came in and he took out the stem cells. It took about an hour for him to process them before they put him back in my knees and my thumb. And we were out of here in about 4 hours and on our way back home. And I'm in here today to have my shoulders, my hips, and my back done. So I'll be able to go back to my sawmill, my shop, and do about anything I want to do.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com. Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at Ag AM in Kansas.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. Now we're going to wrap up with the Alpers.
Now, the two of you, as one looks over your life story, if you will, on the farm, so much of it is off the farm and your civic and church activities. You're neck deep in both of those things. And we could go through a whole laundry list here, but as you reflect on that, let's start with civic activities. What are the standout activities and moments and achievements there, do you think?
FSA board. I'm still on the soil conservation board. I've been on Farm Bureau board. One of the greatest ones, though, was being on the school board. I was on it for 8 years, and one of the unique deals with being on that board was when I decided to step down there wasn't anyone to run in my place. So guess who went?
Somebody stepped up, didn't
Tag
they?
teamed.
And she is still on today. So anyway, so that's been a real passion for both of us.
Well, Barb, speak to 4-H for just a moment. You have occupied leadership positions, both of you locally here. You've hosted young people from Japan as part of the exchange program, correct? Talk about that a bit.
By chance, somebody started talking to us about the Japanese exchange, and we said, okay, we'll try it. And it was through Barton County that we had our first boy here, and he was 12 years old and stayed with us. And then the state coordinator said, why don't you become a state program with us? And so then we started finding placement homes to place Japanese exchange in.
Community in general is huge for you, though. The Hudson community and the broader community here in this part of Stafford County.
You know, our Hudson Community Club, Barb is kind of chairman of that, and we have, for a small town, we have quite a few activities.
I'm on the Economic Development Board now.
She's chairman of the Economic Development Board for Stafford County, so she's very involved. Some people say she's the heartbeat of Hudson.
No, there's a lot of people have the heartbeat. I'm just kind of the resuscitator, maybe.
Let's bring in a word about your kids, and we'll finish with Tyler since he's involved in the operation. But Tabra, she is
food sensory scientist, and she works for ConAgra.
And then Tacey, your youngest, is a preschool teacher.
Early childhood teacher at St. John's.
Then, of course, Tyler is, after going to Kansas State University and obtaining his education there, has returned to farm full-time with you.
Barb and I had talked and said, we'd like you for a summer go do something else other than this, which he didn't know about. And so he started checking it out, and he took a internship with Cargill out at Dodge City at the packing house. When he graduated, we already had him involved, like my dad did, and with some cows and a little bit of land, and then he became a full-fledged partner.
We'll finish up by having you reflect on what this recognition as Master Farmer, Master Farm Homemaker means to each of you.
Myself, to be nominated and to receive this award, I'm very humbled and honored.
Well, I follow a lot of his sentiments. I am very honored, and you know, sometimes you feel your daily routine is just kind of monotonous, but then when you put it down on a piece of paper and see your achievements and things like that, you know, you do feel very blessed that you've had that opportunity, and you know, taking care of the land and showing our children what it's like to take care of the land, I think has just been an amazing adventure. And then, you know, to have the award on top of that.
Thank you for joining us on That's My Farm. And don't forget, next week about this same time, we'll have more stories from farmers and ranchers from across the state of Kansas. See you then.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamandkansas.com.
Hey, I'm Clark Victory. I grew up right here on this little ranch near Chelsea, Oklahoma. Roped and ranched all my life, and a few years ago I had an injury that created what they call a frozen shoulder in layman's terms. It got to the point that I couldn't reach, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't do anything. After speaking with the surgeon in Tulsa, he finally told me that he could make my shoulder better if he did surgery, but he absolutely couldn't fix it. I decided that, you know, maybe I better listen to my friend John, and I called Kansas Regenerative Medical Center. I talked to Patrick Farley and was just excited about the whole aspect of going up there and having the opportunity to focus on getting better. The next morning at 8:30, went into the clinic, did the stem cell replacement. By 12:30, my wife and I had lunch and was driving back to Chelsea. I feel better. We work around here. Some days we work pretty hard around here, and like any older guy does, I get pretty sore, pretty tired, but my right shoulder doesn't get sore. It's like a baby's arm.